When you look at the richest people in the world, you notice something strange. They don't make their fortunes by working harder than everyone else. They make their fortunes by controlling systems. And one of the most powerful systems ever created is debt. Debt is the mechanism through which wealth flows upward. It's designed to look like a neutral tool, a service that helps people access things they couldn't otherwise afford. But if you study history and follow the money, you realize debt was deliberately crafted to be a trap. And that trap has no accidental features. Every part of it is intentional. The rich understood centuries ago what most people haven't grasped. You don't need to own everything if you can own the system that lends money. If you control credit, you control people. And that control has been built into every layer of modern life. Consider payday loans, which operate in 30 states across America. On the surface, they sound reasonable. You need $500 for an emergency. You pay it back on your next payday. But the trap is in the cost. The interest rate is $15 to $25 per $100 borrowed, roughly 400% annual percentage rate. Compare that to credit cards at around 21%. A payday lender charges almost 20 times the interest of a credit card. The business model is explicitly designed to ensure repeat borrowing. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau research found that payday lenders collect 75% of their fees from borrowers who take out more than 10 loans per year. 3/4 of their business depends on people staying trapped. The average borrower takes out 8 payday loans annually, staying in debt for nearly 5 months. The math is brutal. Borrow $100 with a $15 fee. 2 weeks later, can't pay it back, so you roll it over. Now you owe $130. 6 months in, you've paid $180 in fees alone, while still owing the principal. Total debt of $280 for borrowing $100. 80% of payday loans are rolled over multiple times. Each rollover adds another fee. But here's the really sinister part. These lenders deliberately locate their storefronts in poor neighborhoods, in low-income areas, in communities of color. This is not random. This is targeting. Predatory lenders specifically go after people they know are desperate, people living paycheck to paycheck, people who have no other options. And it works. Why? Because the system has already failed these people. Their wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. One unexpected expense, one medical bill, one car repair, and suddenly they need cash immediately. They turn to payday lenders because traditional banks won't give them loans. They've been rejected by the normal system, so they turn to the predatory one. And the predatory one is waiting. Credit card debt operates on a similar principle, but with a veneer of legitimacy that makes it even more effective. Credit card balances now total $1.21 trillion outstanding. That's more than $1 trillion of credit card debt held by American consumers. The average credit card interest rate tops 20%. If you only make minimum payments on an average balance of $6,371 at that interest rate, you could be in debt for 217 months. That's over 18 years of payments. And in that time, you'll pay over $9,000 in interest alone. Nearly 1.5 times the original debt, just for the privilege of paying your creditors. The trick of credit cards is that they're normalized. They're not called predatory, they're called convenient. They're marketed as freedom, as a way to buy now and pay later, as something everyone needs. And when people use them for emergencies, which nearly half of credit card debtors do, it seems reasonable. A car repair, a medical bill, groceries when money runs short. These aren't frivolous purchases, these are survival. But the system that forces people to use credit cards for survival is not accidental. It's the result of wages that haven't kept up with costs for decades. It's the result of a healthcare system that bankrupts people. It's the result of housing costs that consume most of a family's income before they even eat. The system creates the desperation, and then credit card companies position themselves as the solution. According to recent data, 60% of credit card debtors now carry a balance from month to month. This number has been rising. In November 2024, about half of credit card debtors had carried a balance for at least a year. But by now it's more like 3 in 5. Some borrowers have carried a balance for 5 years or longer. 5 years of minimum payments. 5 years of interest flowing from their bank account to shareholders of Visa, MasterCard, and the banks that issue these cards. This is not accidental debt. This is systemic debt. The system is working exactly as designed. The wealthy own the credit card companies. The wealthy own the banks that issue them. The interest payments flow from poor people's paychecks to wealthy shareholders. That's how the trap works. Student loans represent perhaps the most sophisticated debt trap of all because it's backed by government policy and framed as an investment in yourself. Student loan debt totals $1.8 trillion held by 42.5 million Americans. The average federal student loan debt is $39,376. But these numbers hide something even darker. When the Middle Income Student Assistance Act made federal student loans more available in 1978, universities didn't respond by becoming more affordable. They responded by raising tuition. From 1980 to 2017, public university tuition increased by 344%. Private college tuition increased by 241%. The availability of loans didn't increase access to education, it increased the price of education. Universities simply captured the government loans by raising their prices. So students had to borrow more to attend college. The system created its own demand. And now 3.6 million borrowers owe over $100,000 in student loan debt. The average time to repay federal student loans is 25 years. 25 years of payments. Roughly 10% of student loan debt is already 90 days or more past due or seriously delinquent. The default rate on student loans is roughly double that of credit card debt. Young people are starting their adult lives with debt chains wrapped around them. Generation Z borrowers are particularly targeted. About 1 in 6 young people is close to exhausting their credit limits. They're maxed out before their careers even begin. This is not a coincidence. The system deliberately targets young people who have no way to know any better, who trust that education requires debt, who believe they have no choice but to borrow. And once they're trapped in this system, they can't escape it easily. Unlike credit card debt, you can't discharge student loans in bankruptcy. Unlike payday loans, the terms are standardized and seemingly legitimate. It's predatory lending wrapped in the language of education and progress. The pattern across all these debt mechanisms is identical. The system is designed so that those without money have to borrow to survive, and every time they borrow, wealth transfers upward. From the person making minimum wage to the shareholder earning dividend checks. From the student unable to afford college to the hedge fund buying student loan portfolios. From the person needing emergency cash to the private equity firm that owns the payday lending company. This is not how markets are supposed to work. This is not a natural outcome. This is a designed system. And the designers are not stupid. They understand that if poor people are forced to borrow at high rates, interest payments will drain their savings faster than they can accumulate wealth. They understand that debt creates a permanent underclass of people too busy paying creditors to ever accumulate assets. They understand that debt prevents social mobility, and that's the point. The trap is not a bug, it's the entire feature of the system. In 1963, the wealthiest families had 36 times the wealth of families in the middle of the wealth distribution. By 2022, they had 71 times the wealth. That doubling of relative wealth didn't happen because the rich got smarter or worked harder. It happened because the debt system worked exactly as designed. It transferred wealth upward. So what does this mean for ordinary people? It means that financial freedom cannot be handed to you by the system because the system thrives on keeping you indebted. It means that debt is not neutral. It is not a tool that works the same for everyone. It works differently depending on whether you're the creditor or the debtor. If you're creditor, debt makes you rich. If you're the debtor, debt makes you trapped. The history of finance is not the history of innovation or progress. It's the history of rich people figuring out how to systematize wealth extraction and then convincing everyone else that it's normal, that it's necessary, that it's the only way, but it's not the only way. understanding how the trap works is the first step to protecting yourself. Minimizing debt, building skills that can't be taken away, creating income streams not dependent on a single employer, questioning every loan offer, recognizing that behind every financial product marketed as convenience is a machine designed to profit from your future. History doesn't repeat, but the pattern is always there. From the medieval merchant charging interest to the payday lender on the corner to the algorithm deciding your credit score, the story is the same. Debt enriches the creditor and burdens the debtor. And the cruelest trick is that we're taught to celebrate it. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers.